And welcome back, rugby fans, to Rugby411. As always, I'm your host. My name is Joshua Shibata, and this is our final preview of our last international test match for the USA Eagles as number 16 ranked USA takes on the number 21 ranked Romanian rugby team, the Stejaris. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, the Stejaris, the Oaks. This is the last international test match of the 2025 season. This is also the last match before the all-important Rugby World Cup draw for 2027 that will take place in December. I keep forgetting the date, but I believe it's December 3rd. Again, I'll have a preview video talking about the whole draw and the process because it's very interesting. This is the first time the Rugby World Cup, the Men's Rugby World Cup, has expanded 24 teams. So the draw is a little bit unique this time around. And this match is really, really crucial in how the USA will be positioned in the Rugby World Cup. I'll explain about that in a little bit in this video. But also, too, we will do a little bit of a review of USA's tough loss last week to Georgia, losing 43-30. I want to talk about that just because I've been reading a lot of social media about the match, a little bit of negativity, actually a lot of negativity. Now, granted, coming off of that really, and I'll be honest, brutally honest, that very, very poor performance against Scotland. Now, granted, again, Scotland is a top tier 1. If you watch my prior video about the Scotland matchup, the difference between tier 1 and tier 2 teams, Scotland's a tier 1, solid tier 1. USA is very much a solid tier 2. And in that match, you can definitely see the difference in talent. Georgia, again, if you watch my Georgia video, I kind of explain exactly where Georgia is. Georgia is definitely near the top of tier 2. Again, lots of people arguing they should be considered tier 1 nation. Georgia, definitely a team that the USA should really compare themselves to, comparatively to tier 1 nations like Scotland, New Zealand, South Africa, those teams that are just on an entirely different level. So again, this score, and the scoreline doesn't show exactly how close that game was. Let's talk about it. So 43-30, if you watch the game, and again, you can watch it live or on, well, not live anymore, but you can watch it on demand on Paramount Plus, and you can catch the match. It was a very, very exciting matchup, and USA came out strong right off the bat, scoring 3 tries, 21-7, and those tries really were based off of just mistakes that Georgia made, and USA were just able to bounce on. Big shout out to Dominic Bissag getting a brace, which is 2 tries in the very first half. Explosive, young, talented player. Again, he is still in college, California, St. Mary's of California. Can't wait to see where he goes when he's eligible to be drafted by Major League Rugby. Possibly, more than likely, Anthem Rugby. But man, he would be a great get by any of the Major League Rugby teams. Anyways, USA up 21-7. Unfortunately, there was a yellow card for Mark O'Keefe. He mistimed the tackle, and that yellow card became a huge blow to the USA. Georgia scored 2 tries to get the score to 26-21. And those tries were basically things that I've already explained about what Georgia really prides themselves on. One of those tries were based off of a line-out maul to score. Georgia just showing their power and dominance. One of the tries very similar, eerily similar to how Scotland was scoring all over the United States, taking advantage of just the number game on the defense. But in the end, to be honest, USA's defense a lot better than what they were against Scotland. Also, too, it was a very, very physical match. Really a lot of back and forth hits against each other. I felt really USA did a very good job standing toe-to-toe with Georgia. It's just, if you watch in the second half, just the USA gassed out. Also want to shout out to Luke Carty. Luke Carty was phenomenal off the tee. He honestly was my man of the match. He was 6 for 6, a perfect 6 for 6 off the tee, 3 conversions, 2 penalty kicks, and a drop kick goal, which opened up the second half, allowing the USA to take the lead at 27-26. Unfortunately, near the end, again, Georgia just, you could tell USA were very, very tired by the second half. It was a very physical game, a lot of hard contact, and Georgia just had a little bit more muscle and effort at the very end. There was a lot of talk, especially with the last 2 minutes of the game. USA was USA was down 36-27, so they're down 1 full conversion try. And there was a moment where USA had the ball in their territory, 2 minutes left in the game, and they kicked the ball to Georgia territory. A lot of people are wondering why they kicked it. Again, you're kicking it because in the game of rugby is a game about territory, not necessarily possession. Georgia's defense and offense was very, very strong, especially, like I said, at the later half of that game. Georgia was just running to the ball. USA really had no options, especially when they're in their territory that close to the try zone at that point, that they had to kick the ball away because Georgia was just on top of them. And any mistake that they made, Georgia would have capitalized right there. And in that moment, when they kicked it, Georgia made a mistake and USA were able to regain the ball. Unfortunately, they drove themselves back into their territory, and at the 30-second mark, USA had to kick the ball again. And again, people were criticizing, why do that? And maybe at the 30-second mark, at that point, yeah, maybe USA should have kept the ball. But again, with the fact that they did it at the 2-minute mark and they were able to regain the ball, there was a slight possibility that if USA kicked the ball back into Georgia territory, Georgia somehow made a mistake like they did prior, USA might have been able to capitalize and score a try and steal the game. Unfortunately, though, in the last couple of seconds of that game, Georgia was able to score a very, very easy try because, again, if you watch it, USA literally at that point, players were just walking. They were just so tired. So even though the scoreline at the very end was 43-30, that last try pretty much was almost kind of USA just going whatever. So it was a very close game. So again, I personally, and I admit I'm more of a positive person, especially when it comes to Team USA. I felt that performance by USA was really, really strong. Would have been great if we won, of course. But honestly, with the way they were performing, compared to how they were performing in Scotland, I felt USA really bounced back very strong. Georgia, again, a very, very strong team, a very physical team. USA, though, kept with it for the most of the game. So, and now, especially if you look at the roster as we go into this game with Romania, which Romania, also a very physical team, a little bit faster team pace, I feel, than Georgia is. So really Romania, very similar play style to the USA, so will be a very fun match. But if you look at the roster that head coach Scott Lawrence put together for Romania, practically the same roster as the roster against Georgia. So it just goes to show you that just like how I feel head coach Scott Lawrence also felt this roster is a very good roster and one very capable of taking the win against Romania. Let's put it up right here. So as you see, the only change to the starting 15 is really by injury design, not by choice. I feel that if there wasn't an injury, head coach Scott Lawrence probably would have put the same lineup together. But unfortunately, prop Pono Davis suffered an injury against Georgia, so he's out at the number 3 position. So in steps in Tonga Kofe, who I've always been a big fan of his. He strong player for Utah Warriors. Unfortunately, doesn't have a home right now. He's playing with the Leicester Tigers in Europe, though, now playing with the USA Eagles for right now. But it's great to see him back there. And because of that, there's a little bit of movement around. Corey Daniels is back at the number 7 flanker position. First time he's back since the Scotland game. Jason Dom, captain, has been moved to number 8. That unfortunately means that Makinali Khan has been moved back to the bench. Also, too, joining him on the bench is the return of Maliu Nuafe from the California Legion. He'll be on the bench. And then Mitchie Wilson, who just was announced as signing with the New England Free Jacks. He is now back on the bench as well. Other than that, pretty much the exact same lineup as the one against Romania. Now, let's talk about the Romania game. Saturday, November 15th. Early start time, though not nearly as early as the Georgia game. 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So a little bit easier for the East Coast fans to watch. This match will take place at the Arc de Triomphe, which is in Bucharest, Romania. Again, if you want to watch it live or on demand, Paramount Plus. This is the 12th time that these two teams will face off against each other. Right now, the USA Eagles has the win with 8 wins over 3 losses. This is actually going to be the 5th time that these two teams are playing for what's called the Pershing Cup. Pershing Cup, named after U.S. Army General John J. Blackjack Pershing, who, when in 1919 established the Inter-Allied Games, which was kind of like an Olympics. It was just a one-off event, never happened again, but that event marks the very first time that Romania and USA played against each other in a rugby contest. Now, granted, it was the Romanian military and the USA Army, but that was the very first time that those two countries have faced off against each other in a rugby game. So that's why we have the Pershing Cup to honor and commemorate that moment. The Pershing Cup started in 2014. Since then, the USA and Romania have played against each other 5 times for the Cup. 5 times for the Cup. USA won the very first one. Since then, it's gone back and forth, with the last one being won by Romania in 2024, which was the last time that Romania and USA played. And in that game, it was a very close loss to Romania by the Eagles, 22-20. If you watch that game, man, a lot of penalties in that game against both sides. USA had a lot of chances to win. Defense by Romania was really strong. USA's defense was very strong. In the end, AJ McGinty had a chance to kick the winning penalty kick in the last couple minutes. He missed, and unfortunately, that was where the game ended, 22-20. But again, very, very close game in Romania for the USA Eagles. Again, if you look at the roster, I don't know what the roster is for Romania, but if you look at the roster of the USA, this is an entirely new USA team. Only 7 players from that last game against Romania last year are on this roster, and 5 of those players were on the bench for that one. So this is an entirely new roster, a new chance for head coach Scott Lawrence to get revenge on that loss against Romania. Romania, again, the Stejaris, the Oaks. The head coach is David Gerard, who is a former French player. He just took over for the Romanian rugby team as head coach last year. He was the head coach of that win against the Eagles, so he has a little familiarity. I don't know the starting lineup for the Romanian team, but looking at Romania just beat Canada last week, 31-21, which is a big win for them. And, kind of the litmus test just to see how good Romania is. And in that game, Alin Konash is the player to mention. Fly half, he was a perfect 6 for 6 off the tee. 3 of them as penalty kicks, 3 of them as conversion. So again, and his 3 penalty kicks in the very first half were all the points that Romania scored in that first half, where they were leading 12-7. So if USA makes any mistakes, Alin Konash will make you pay. Alin Konash also was part of the roster of the Romanian team that played the US Eagles last year. He was also pretty good off the tee, 5 for 6. So again, he is a guy that you got to watch out for, and USA got to play pretty clean. They can't afford to give up too many penalties, otherwise Konash will make them pay. So that's the matchup coming up Saturday. Now, very important matchup based for the Rugby World Cup draw. So in the draw for this year, just again, I'll make a video about it, but kind of a little bit of an overview. The way that the draw works is that for the very first time, the pool has been expanded to 24 teams. There are going to be 6 pools of 4 teams each. The way the draw is going to be is that of the 24 qualified teams, they're going to be based off of their ranking and divided into 4 groups of 6. Each group, 1 team is going to be in each of the 6 pools. So why that's important. Right now, the way the USA is, and I'll pull up the ranking here, USA is ranked number 16. that means they're in the third band, okay? You don't play any of the teams in that band. Your pool is going to be composed of one team from your band, one team from the top band, second band, and then the fourth band. So if USA stays in that third band, the benefit is they're at least guaranteed to play a team that's in the fourth band or at least rank lower than them in their pool. If they slide to the fourth band, that means all three teams that are in their pool will be higher ranked teams. They will be the lowest ranked team in their individual pool, which is not a good thing for the USA to have to deal with. So that's why USA needs to win this game, because according to the way these rankings are, if the USA lose to Romania, the USA will be dropped out of that third band. They're basically going to drop from 16th rank to somewhere between 19 and 20. So they'll be out of the third band. And that's, again, very bad for USA. They don't want to be in that fourth band. So this is kind of a must-win game for the USA if they want to at least preserve that third band to guarantee they're not the lowest ranked team in their pool with the Rugby World Cup. Now, if they win, no, there's really no way that they're going to jump up high enough to get into the second band, because the way that the rankings work, and man, if you read the math of how that works, it is, I pride myself on knowing quite a bit of math, but the ranking math is just some weird, like, multiplied times Chinese algebra. It's crazy how they figure it out. But basically the point is, if you're a higher ranked team beating a lower ranked team, similar to my rankings with Major League Rugby, you don't jump very high. It's the lower ranked team that gets the higher jump. And if you're a higher ranked team losing to a lower ranked team, you drop pretty low. So that's why USA can't afford to lose this match. It's very similar to, if you look at these rankings again, number 12, Wales, is going to go against number 13, Japan, this weekend. And that's also going to be a match that's going to determine some things with these bands, because 12 and 13, that's the cutoff between band number 2 and number 3. So if Japan beats Wales, they can jump to the number 2 band, and now they have 2 teams in their pool that will be lower ranked than them. Comparatively, if they stay in the third band like USA, they'll only have 1 team lower ranked than they in their pool. So I hope that makes sense. Again, if it doesn't, I'll try to spell out a little bit more in detail in my Rugby World Cup draw video preview, just to really go over and explain exactly the chances that the USA, who their possible opponents will be, and what their chances are in their pool. But again, bottom line, USA winning this really, really helps them in their draw. In the Rugby World Cup pool draw, losing really, really hurts. So USA has to win this game. Now, again, I feel this is a very winnable game. Romania plays USA very tough, but if USA plays the way they played against Georgia, I feel USA has a really good shot at beating Romania. Now, will it be close? Probably be a close game, but I feel USA has a very, very good shot of winning this game. Now, unfortunately, again, because it's a 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, not going to do a watch-along, but I do have a great announcement to make. I had the extreme honor to be doing my very first broadcasted rugby broadcasting play-by-play commentary gig this Saturday, the same day as this match, Saturday, November 15th. I'll be calling the action for the Midwest Thunderbirds taking on the Chicago Hounds Academy team in their matchup as part of the Midwest Rugby Championship weekend. If you're not too familiar, Midwest Rugby Union is one of the many unions in the United States, primarily focusing on the Midwest teams, basically like the Chicago area. And the Midwest Thunderbirds is like an all-star team filled up of the best players of those club players that are going to be on that team. And of course, the Chicago Hounds Academy, making up of a lot of the young players in the Chicago Hounds Academy system that are trying to earn their spot onto the starting lineup. There's quite a few names that you'll be familiar with. One in particular, former RFCLA player and been interviewed a few times on this channel, Sam Walsh, so it's great to be able to call a match for him. But again, if you want to check that out, I'll leave the link in the description of this video. Would love to have you guys listen to me. So if you're used, obviously won't be able to communicate with you guys like I've done during my watch-alongs, but kind of a chance for you to listen and watch some great rugby while I call play-by-play. It'll be my first broadcast appearance. I did have the chance to do a couple of live ones recently now with the West Coast Rugby Sevens tournament, which was very, very awesome. But this is going to be my first 15s matchup broadcast, so I'm super, super excited. And again, honored and very privileged to be working with Midwest Rugby. So yeah, so again, I'll leave the link on that. And before we leave off with that, just some sad, somber news. I hate to end on this note, but I do want to give a shout out to 2 Cents Rugby. If you are a fan of this rugby channel, more than likely you know exactly who 2 Cents Rugby is. 2 Cents Rugby is one of the best rugby YouTube channel operators in the world. To be honest, this channel owes its existence to 2 Cents Rugby. If you notice, I use the same whiteboard as 2 Cents Rugby does. That's what inspired me to do it. I watched a lot of 2 Cents Rugby videos because when I was getting into rugby, he was the guy that had his finger on the pulse, and he still does. Primarily, of course, with European and international rugby, not so much with American rugby, which is where I come in because it allows me the opportunity to fill a niche that he doesn't quite get, but he doesn't need to. He does so much with everything else, and he is one of the best, if not the best, rugby YouTube operators and content creators in the world. Now, want to bring up, if you know 2 Cents Rugby, then for sure you know his father, Gazza, who's been a contributor numerous times on that channel. It's always fun to listen to Gazza and 2 Cents Rugby talk about rugby as well as they do their watch-alongs. Gazza is very, very knowledgeable of the sport. He's been a big fan, former player himself. Unfortunately, it was just announced a couple of days ago that Gazza is suffering from leukemia, and according to reports by himself, it does not look good. So, hearts and prayers to 2 Cents Rugby and Gazza. As a person that has dealt with losing family members to cancer, it is never an easy thing. And again, my positivity and support to the 2 Cents Rugby family for that. Gazza, again, never met him, never met 2 Cents Rugby, never exchanged any information with him, but it just seems to me that family is a wonderful, wonderful family and deserves a lot of support in this trying time. So again, just a bit of shout out to them. If you didn't know about that, and you do know who 2 Cents Rugby is, give him a subscription, follow, give him a like, just show some support and love to him because, yeah, it's, I think everybody, unfortunately, has dealt with somebody who they've lost through cancer, and it's just not a great time. So best thing to do is to show that love and support, show that positivity, and even a better thing, because I know Gazza would love this, check out some rugby over the week, because there's a lot of rugby going on, especially international games, Midwest Rugby Tournament, this game. So, yeah. So again, with all that being said, don't forget, check out USA Eagles taking on Romania, November 15th, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, live or on demand on Paramount Plus. And if you can, check out Midwest Rugby as the Midwest Thunderbirds take on the Chicago Hounds. You'll hear my voice on the play-by-play. So again, thank you very much for checking out my video. I always appreciate the support, and I'll see you on the pitch. Go USA.